Twizz Show. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button. Let's get those likes up so I can bring you this free game. Big Twizz Show.
The Big Twizz Show.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Big Twizz Show. I'm here with Brother Malcum. What's up, Brother Malcum? How you doing today?
All right, how you doing, cuzzo?
Man, just got off of work, trying to get this truth out to the people. How you doing?
I'm doing great, brother. Blessed.
Right. Well, I'm glad to have you on the show again. And people, this is part 2 of the Moors, the origin of the Native Americans. So we starting with part 2. We're gonna let you go ahead and rock and do your thing. Before you do your thing, everybody, please hit the subscribe button. Let's get these notifications out. We really appreciate you, Brother Malcum. Go ahead and do your thing, brother.
All right, brother. So yeah, last time we was on, we were discussing the Native Americans and if they all descend from one people and if they had one common language that the rest of the languages derived from. So basically, I just want to go into some history and prove that, because me and the brother from Turtle Island, we agreed on like 95% of the things. Is just that one little stumbling block we had. So I wasn't prepared and I didn't have my book highlighted, so I was able to dig into it, and just want to bring out the points and show that I do try to study to show myself approved. And so what I'll do is start out with a list of all the tribes that it names, and I'll turn to there, right, and let you guys see the tribes. And if anyone ever sees any tribes, leave a comment and say, I don't see this tribe on there, whatever, and they're not covered. But I'm going to cover the regions where they were at, like saying Peru, South America, whatever, from Canada down, and it's gonna identify the tribes. And then from there I'll go into some of their traditions and customs and things of that nature that kind of points to them being or proving them to be the 10 tribes, because that's what the goal is here, right? So
Right. Shout out to Norris Francis, Turtle Gang NYC. Shout out to you, brother.
What up, brother?
Yep. We'll have him on next time. But yeah, we're gonna go into it, man. Do your thing, loved one.
Okay, brother. All right, I'm going to go into a book called The Star of the West by Elias Boudinot. It's called A Humble Attempt to Discover the Long-Lost 10 Tribes of Israel, preparatory to their return to their beloved city, Jerusalem. And here's what the book looks like here. So I'm going to just go into, put it up to the screen, basically. I'm not going to read all these names. I'm going to put it up to the screen and allow you to see the tribes, the names that the tribes that it lists or whatnot. So here we go. Tell me if you can see that.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll leave that up there for a minute or so people can read the tribes, and I'll turn to the next page or whatnot. Let me know when you're ready, because when you've read them all.
You're ready. Go ahead. Do your thing. You shouting out the book, you shouting out the author. They can always go and look it up themselves. If you don't believe, if you don't, right. Yeah, there you go. That's all you got to do is shout it out. Yep.
Okay. Page 70 and page 70 and page 71. You can see both of these. So hopefully, let me know if you can see them.
Oh, you're good, cousin. You just let them know. Like I said, shout out the author. Shout out the page. Like I said, if they want, they can look it up themselves.
Word. I just want to make sure they can get a visual.
Yeah. Okay. That'll work.
Yeah, picture says 1,000 words. You know what I'm saying? So let them be able to see. Okay. Yeah. Turn to page 72. Let me know when you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So now I'm going to go into another book. It's called The History of the North American Indians by James Adair. This is a man who lived amongst the Native Americans as one of them for 40 years. He had no bias in his story, no motive. And I would think if you lived amongst the people for 40 years, you will learn a great deal about them, especially if you're keeping their customs along with them. So I'm going to go into that and show you the places where they came from, like where it's going to list the regions where they came. Okay.
Okay.
And that's what it's going to do. And some of the tribe names as well. That's listed in there.
Yeah, definitely show the front of the book.
Yeah, definitely. Show that one more time. Okay. Okay, on page 8, it references the Creek Nation, the Choctaw, the Chickasaw, the Shawano. Let's see. Let's go over here. Page 9, it mentions the Spanish inhabitants of Cartagena. Cartagena, you would know, is where the Moors were in Cartagena, Africa, where the Hannibal and the Moorish empires were at. So it's telling you they were amongst those people.
Okay.
Let's see
I've never heard of that before. Where were they at again?
Cartagena, because when you read,
Cartagena. I've never heard that before. Okay.
that's North Africa. It's almost near Portugal, Spain. It almost connects
Oh,
to.
it's like my Morocco.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, got you.
Where Hannibal was.
Okay, I never knew where Hannibal was. I thought he was like towards like Nigeria. Okay, learn something new every day. Look, bringing out that truth.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
These are the other tribes it mentions. Let me see. Boom, boom. It's going to mention more. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Now I'm gonna read that later. Boom, boom, boom. The Muskogee Indians. I mentioned the Muskogee on page 17. Mentions the Indians of Okmulgee, Oklahoma. That's where I was locked up at, cousin in Okmulgee.
Right. Shout out to
Okmulgee.
Right.
Shout out to Okmulgee.
Yeah.
Okmulgee, which is in Oklahoma.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's see. It mentions. Here we go. Next page, page 25. Cherokee, Chickasaw. We go over here to page 27. The Indians from West Florida to Mississippi. Let's see here. Here we go. Right here is on page 27 as well. The two Carolinas, Georgia, and East and West Florida. We call the Yupon or the Cossine. We got, okay, let's see here. We got South America, mentioned South America on page 30.
Now, what you're saying, the dude that wrote this book, what you're telling us right now is this is all the places that he has been with the different tribes? Is that
Yes,
what you're saying? Okay.
Yes, he lived with it for 40 years, and then he had the stories that were given to him and all that. He lived with them for 40 years, living under their customs and rights as one of them.
Okay.
So he was participating in the things they did and everything.
And he was traveling to all these different places.
Yeah, and then he's also connecting with other historians and writers as well. Some of these people right here in some of these books he was connecting with. You know what I mean? But we'll go into that another day because that's a lot of stuff to be reading. So we're just trying to touch on this right now, and we'll definitely touch on that at some point.
Okay.
Okay. Let me see. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. We got on page 35, it mentions the tribes from Virginia who call themselves Sepone. Okay. It mentions the Creek Indians on page 36. Let me see, bam. Page 45, it mentions the Nachi warriors. It mentions West Florida again, Mexico and Peru. See here. Mentions the Mississippians and New Orleans on page 48. So this man's been everywhere. He's been everywhere. He's touching everywhere. He's gonna mention Canada. Let's see here. Okay, that's that from there. Now I'm going to read some of their traditions. We're just going to reveal some more things. I'm going to read a few things.
Okay, it's on you.
All right, let's go here to page. Yeah, to show them all being from one origin. Okay, page 8. It mentions their own traditions record that their own traditions record. Oh, it's like it. Hold on. Boom. Okay, their own traditions record them to have come to their present lands by way of the west from a far distant country. So they came to the west from a far distant country, which is you'll find out is Israel, and where there was no variation of color in human beings, and they entirely ignorant of the first primitive color. But you'll find out that color was black because you find out. When I go into some other books, it mentions the color of the other 10 tribes, the tribes that came over here. In the story of Antonio D. Montesinos, it speaks of the tribes already here. They were already black, but they had lost some of their tradition. So they were, it's deep. It goes in the scripture. God gave them up to a reprobate mind. So when Quetzalcoatl first came, who was Hamashiach, Jesus Christ, he came as a black man, but through times past and them being wicked, God gave them up to reprobate mind. So when the Spanish, he says he's going to give them up to reprobate mind to give them over to the slaughter, to the people. So when Cortez came, he seen him as the Christ figure and walked to the slaughter. That's why I was telling you Apocalypto was kind of about that right there. So, but if you read historical records about Quetzalcoatl, he's a black bearded man and all that stuff. We're going to go into some of that as well. Even the images that you see of Quetzalcoatl, he's black. He's not white at all. He has a white beard. Most of them he's dark with a red like beard, but a lot of them he has a black or white beard. And his story matches his Christ to T. And he's also the Messiah figure of Aztec culture. And it also ties into that when you find out that Tenochtitlan is actually named after Enoch. It's spelled exactly like his name, except it has the T in front of it, and it means the city of the messenger Enoch when you translate it.
Okay, and I finally watched the whole movie Apocalypto. It's crazy, man, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I finally watched it.
Okay, let me see. Here we go. Page 11. It reads, the Indian nations round South Carolina and all the way to New Mexico, properly called Mexica, which is almost the same as Mashiach, which means anointed ones, Mexica, to effect this, fix their tender infant on a kind of cradle where his feet. So I'm just touching who is reaching out to the people. So it's going to some of the history of what they all do. So all these tribes do this certain thing. So they had to have some kind of contact or be the same to be doing the same thing, right? It's not just random.
Right.
Indian nations round South Carolina, all the way to New Mexico, properly called Mexico, is to this effect, fix their tender infant on a kind of cradle where his feet are tilted above his foot higher than a horizontal position. His head bends back to a hole made upon a purpose to receive it, where he bears the chief part of his weight in the crown of his head. So this is talking about when they were going into shaping their heads and stuff. So it's just showing that they all kept this tradition. So let me see, okay. Page 12, observations on the origin and descent of the Indians. Let me see. The very remote history of all nations is disfigured with fable. Let me see, let me get to the point, to the meat of it here, boom. All the various nations of Indians seem to be one descent. They call a buffalo in their various dialects by one and the same name, Yanatsa. And there is a strong similarity of religious rites and of civil and martial customs among all the various American nations of Indians we have any knowledge of on this extensive continent, as will be soon shown. Their language is copious and very expressive for their narrow orbit of ideas and full of rhetorical tropes. Okay, let me see right here. Let me see. Don't go over here. Okay, okay, here we go. Nor even, I'm on page 13 now, just quoting some things right now. nor even in the moderate northern climates is it to be seen the least vestige in any ancient stately buildings or of any thick settlements, as are said to remain in the less healthy regions of Peru and Mexico. Several of the Indian nations assure us they crossed the Mississippi before they made their present northern settlements. Okay, so it's showing you that they came all the way from Mexico to the present place way over here across the Mississippi.
Right.
All the tribes. Okay, let me see. Okay, let me see. From the most, the same page 13 at the bottom, from the most exact observations I could make in the long time I traded among the Indian Americans, I was forced to believe them linearly descended from the Israelites, either while they were in maritime power, a maritime power meaning Marines, or they could use boats, or assumed their religious rights, civil and and martial customs, their marriages, funeral ceremonies, manners, language, traditions, and variety of particulars, which will at the same time make the reader thoroughly acquainted with the nations of which it may be said to this day very little have been known. Okay, let's see, we got the next page. Okay, on page 14, it states, as the Israelites were divided into tribes and had chiefs over them, so the Indians divide themselves each into tribes and forms a little community within the nation. As the nation hath its particular symbol, so hath each of the tribe the badge from which it is denominated. The sachem of each tribe is a necessary party in conveyance and treaties to which he affixes the mark of his tribe as a corporation, as a corporation with us doth their public seal. If we go from nation to nation among them, we shall not find one who does not lineally distinguish himself by his respective family. The genealogical names which they assume are derived from either the names of those animals wherewith the cherubim are said in Revelation to be compounded. So it's telling you that the totem poles and the family names that they used were the same animals that were mentioned in the book of Revelations.
What can you tell us what time period did the author write this? Like, what time period was he doing all this traveling? Does it say?
Let's see. Let's see here. 1775 is when it was published, so he had to do it before then.
Okay.
So sometime in the 1700s, it was published in 1775.
Okay, that's what's up. Now my audience has a, has
time
more
frame or whatever.
Yeah.
Showing that ain't no modern book because nobody can't have no Israelite agenda or nothing because they ain't know about no Israelite camps or YouTube or nothing. So they just writing they writing down what they see.
Right. He's a historian from back in that day. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, go down. Let's see. Boom. Okay, there is no tribe or individual among them. So it's covering all of them. There is no tribe or individual among them, however, called by the name opossum, which is with the Cherokee style sequoia and with the Chickasaw and the Choctaw Indians shakua, synonyms with that of a hog. So let me see. Boom. So I'm just showing right there all the different tribes. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm just trying to point out all the tribes mentioned. Is showing that it's all of them, that they all descend. As I already said, it showed they descend from one common family.
Does he describe on how they look?
Oh yeah.
When he was going to the tribes, like were they so-called black people?
Yeah, I'm about to show you. Man, you wait on. That was a bonus for you, man.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead, bring it out. I'm just, I'm the audience. I'm the audience.
Yes, right,
so,
right.
Okay.
He mentions the colors. He mentions them from being copper, red, to the like how your grandmother looked, like the little Indian lady looking like that to us. And then he shows a picture. He shows a picture just to. And it mentions black Jews in here as well. But we're not really dealing with that right now. That's something we can get to later. But it does show an image of them right here. Some black Indians, just so everybody. I knew people had that question, so.
Right. You ain't got to answer it now. You can raise up to it. You can build up to it, Brother Malcum.
There we go, right there.
Right. Okay. Bring it a little bit closer for us. All right. Come down a little bit. Okay. Come closer. Okay. There we go. Okay. Good deal.
Yep. And then the cover as well shows. Some darker ones and some you'll see some that have.
Right. Well, that's how we were together. We were all mixed up.
Yep. And it's still like if people just it's like once we go into some other history books, you'll see this goes back further than people think. Like I said, from the ancient historian called Pliny the Senior, the Greek historian from ancient times, he tells us that in this book here, where is it at? This right here, Africans and Native Americans, the language of race and the evolution of red and black peoples. It goes into this and tells you that we have intercontinental contacts and interminglings and stuff intense at the point of 60 BC. 60 BC before Christ.
I mean, if you think about it, it's just like today. You can go to Brooklyn, or the Bronx, see a whole bunch of black people, whole bunch of Taino people. You know what I'm saying? Just all mixed together, but still kicking it, doing the same thing. Gotcha.
Yep. It's just the Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom together. Jah put us here in one place so we can come together. The two sticks come together. Like it says, everywhere Judah went into captivity, they're right there. You know what I mean? So he said we're going to serve together and we're going to come out together. He says they should come out together out of the land of the north, out of Babylon, out of the daughter of Babylon. So that means they had to serve together if they're coming out of this place together.
That's right.
All right. So let me see. Excuse me. Sorry.
I smelled that from over here. Little nasty boy.
Dirty, rotten scoundrel. Okay, let me see. Bam, bam. I lost my page. The old fan blew my page off. Here we go.
Do your thing. Do your thing.
Okay, here we go. Page. Here we go. 14. That's where we were. 14. Okay. There is no tribe or individual among them, however, called by the same name opossum, which is the Cherokee-style sequoia, and with the Chickasaw and the Choctaw Indian shuka, synonymous with that of a hog. This may be more material than at first appears, as our natural historians tell us that the opossum is common in other parts of the world. Several of the old Indians assure us they formerly reckoned it as a filthy, uneatable, and an animal as a hog, although they confess, and we know by long observation, that from the time of our traders settled among them, they are every year more corrupt in their morals, not only in this instance of eating an impure animal, but in many other religious customs of their forefathers. So that's how you see the mixed customs in there. People said they was doing pagan things. That's just Bible prophecy saying that how Judah and Ephraim was going to go off and start mixing that stuff into the thing. So if you see pagan things amongst them, yeah, the Bible said they was going to do it. Negroes doing the same thing.
Right.
Okay. We go on to page 15. Oh, here we go. No, same page. Here we go. Their main customs corresponding with those of the Israelites sufficiently clears the subject. Besides, have been hinted, they call some of their tribes by the names of the cherubical figures that were carried on the four principal standards of Israel. So that's talking about the tribal names and stuff, and the house names are founded on the cherubims that are mentioned in the Bible, and particularly the ones in Revelation as it spoke of earlier. So that's letting you know that they had the book before the white man even came over there. Man, these are settlers amongst them before white people even settled amongst them or anything was taken from them. You feel me? Okay, right. And we got page 15. It mentions let me see. Every town. Let me see. In every town or house, every town has a state house or Sanhedrin, as the Jewish Sanhedrin, where almost every night the head men convene about public business, or the townspeople to feast, sing, dance, and rejoice in the divine presence, as will fully be described hereafter. Okay, if a stranger calls there, he is treated with the greatest civility and hearty kindness. He is sure to find plenty of their simple home fare and large cane bed covered with softened skins and bears and buffaloes to sleep on. But when his lineage is known to the people by stated custom, they are slow in greeting one another. His relation, if he has any there, addresses him in a familiar way, invites him home, and treats him as a kinsman. But so that's letting you know how we're supposed to treat Gentiles right there. As long as they ain't crossing you up, you're supposed to treat every man like the Bible says, if possible, be at peace with all men. Like Abraham was welcome to many people, and that's why also when you go to Revelations, when it's getting on Israel, it says, what does it say? Many nations shall come as from the southwest, whatever, and they mention all the place, and sit down and sup with Abraham. But the children of the promise shall be in the outer courts with weeping and gnashing of teeth. So that's for wicked Israelites that be trying to not show no love and saying, of course we know Israel above everybody, but Gentiles can't be saved and all these everybody going. Yeah, it's got a place for you too, because you're not being peaceable with every man. So if it's possible, be peaceful with all men, not just Israel, all men. So it'd be hella, white folks trying to be peaceful and the brothers ain't peaceful.
Right.
Okay, so here we go. Argument 2. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Here we go again. Okay. Here we go. Right here. Page 17. They pay no religious worship to stocks or stones after the manner of the old Eastern pagans. No, I don't want to read that yet. Oh, yes, I do, because it's gonna mention some territories. So I'll go ahead and read that. I'll continue. They pay no religious worship to stocks or stones after the manner of the old Eastern pagans. Neither do they worship any kind of images whatsoever. And it deserves our notice in a very particular manner to invalidate the idle dreams of the Jesuito Fry of South America that none of the various nations from Hudson Bay to the Mississippi has ever been known by our trading people to attempt to make any image of the great divine being whom they worship. This is consistent to the Jewish observance of the second commandment and directly contrary to the usage of all the ancient heathen world who made corporeal representations of their deities. And their conduct is a reproach to many reputed Christian temples, which are littered round with a crowd of ridiculous figures to represent God, spurious angels, pretended saints, and notable villains. The sacred penmen and profane writers assure us that the ancient heathens had lascivious gods, particularly the Second Chronicles 15 and 16, which was the abominable Priapus. But I never heard that any of our North American Indians had images of any kind. There is a carved human statue of wood to which, however, they pay no religious homage. It belongs to the head of the war town of the upper Muskogee country and seems to have been originally designed to perpetuate the memory of some distinguished hero who deserved well of his country. For when Slocky, hold on, let me get throat a little scratchy, hold on, get some water.
You good, Brother Malcum? Do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. We gotta hear this.
Yes, sir.
Fix it. Fix it. Fix it.
Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go over here and see. I got one more, then I'm going to some other stuff. Let me see. I'm going to some other books too. Okay, and some more. The Indian, page 24. The Indian language and dialects appear to have the very idiom of the genius of the Hebrew. Their words and sentences are expressive, concise, emphatical, sonorous, and bold, and often both in letters and signification. Synonymous with the Hebrew language is a common and old remark that there is no language in which some Hebrew words are not to be found. Probably Hebrew was the first and only language, till distant of time and place introduced a change, and then soon followed a mixture of others. The accidental position of the characters might also coincide with some Hebrew words in various dialects, without the least intention, as the true pronunciation of the Hebrew characters is lost in a considerable degree. It is too difficult a task for a skillful Hebraist to ascertain a satisfactory identity of language between the Jews and American Aborigines, much more so to an Indian trader who professes but a small acquaintance with the Hebrew, and that acquired by his own application. However, I will endeavor to make up the deficiency of Hebrew with a plenty of good solid Indian roots. The Indian nouns have neither cases nor declensions, my bad. Neither cases nor declensions. They are invariably the same through both numbers after the Hebrew manner. In their verbs, they likewise sometimes use the pre to perfect instead of the present tense of invocative mode of Salakia. present tense of the indicated mood. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, there is not perhaps any one language or speech except the Hebrew and the Indian American which has not a great many prepositions. The Indians, like the Hebrews, have none of the separate and express words. They are forced to join certain characters to words in order to supply the great defect. Because some words in other languages can't be translated into Hebrew, so they have to make up words or fit another word that's similar to it into there. Let me see. I'm gonna try to read some of these words, boys. I can't read these words.
It's okay. It's all right. Take your time with it. And
Okay.
I'm not interjecting too much because I want you to get as much out as you want.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see.
Everybody hit the like button, the subscribe button. We're bringing this information out to you. You know what I'm saying? It's the Big Twizz Show. TWIZZ, 2 Z's. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button.
Okay, I'm going to some of this more. I'm just going to the customs. Some of the customs to read some things now.
Okay.
Where's that? Where's that? Where you at, baby? Here we go, bam. Okay. Just going to show that they knew of Christ beforehand. This is page 46. The word I want to start to say. So I'm going to start at. Okay, here we go. Because this is a conversation he's having with the white people or whatever. So he's gonna. This is what he says.
This is the conversation that who's having with the white people, the author of the book?
No. One of the Indian tribal men.
Okay, the person that wrote this book, is he a white man?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you're telling us what now?
A conversation that took place not between him, but
Okay.
something that recorded between the Native Americans and addressing white people or whatever.
Okay, got you.
Okay. He concluded by saying that all the chieftains and others present, as well as myself, knew now very well from his honest speech the true cause of the earth's having been so strangely burnt till lately, and that he was afraid if the hearts of those light and mad people he complained of did not speedily grow honest and honest, the dreadful day would soon come in which Lok Ishtulu will send. That's the same word as Ishi if you go into the Bible in Hosea, Ishi. So he's referring to Ishi, which is, in this case, it's the father. But he's going to show you right here. Ishtulu will send Putchik Kara Ishtu, the great blazing star. We know that Christ, he's called the morning star, the bright morning star, the great blazing star. Yakanai, his name is Yakanai Elkanah, I don't know how to pronounce that, to burn up half of the world with fire. And let's see, and it says, from the north to bring up half the world with fire, for Himi Abi, from the north to the south. Hase Ube Para, toward the setting of the sun, where they should in time arrive at the dreadful place of darkness, be confined there hungry, and otherwise sorely distressed among hissing snakes and many other frightful creatures, according to the ancient true speech that Ishtulu Abba spoke to his beloved Loke. So he's saying the words that Abba spoke to Christ.
Oh, wow.
And this is what the Native Americans are relating, that he's going to come basically burn his people up for what they're doing. He's gonna what's it? Boom, 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 boom. Let me see. Yeah, he says many, and he's going. They're going to hell. He's describing hell where they're going to go to, where they should in time arrive at a dreadful place of darkness, be confined there, hungry and otherwise sorely distressed among hissing snakes and many other frightful creatures, according to the ancient true speech that Ishtohulu Abba spoke to his beloved Loke. So this is if you go into what's crazy about this. This links up with some missing scripture that was taken out. The Apocalypse of Abraham, I believe, is, and it goes into all this stuff right here, and they're mentioning it right now. The things that it mentions how hell is going to be, and the torments, and it mentions certain deeds that people did, and their punishments that they're going to get. And this is matching up with it greatly. It's something else that I seen in this book too. Remember how I was telling you that in some books that was removed, and some other that speaks about the sun going down into the water and going underneath it.
I think I recall that.
Well, it speaks about that in here, but we ain't gonna go into that now. Well, let me just send that part of that. But it speaks about that right here. The Native Americans have written in their history as well that the sun goes down into the water. So I'm touching right here. Come on, nigga. Come on, nigga. Here we go, right here, fam. Let's talk about the moon. Okay, so which shows their opinion of the sun's disappearance according to the ancients, who said the sun slept every night in the Western Ocean.
I heard that.
And, and then
I
when
like
if you look at the sunset, if you're out on the water, it looks like it's going directly down into the water as well.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like how they said that.
Okay, let me see. Get some more customs here. Then we'll go to another book. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Here. Yep, on page 41. The Cherokee number status thus Saqua Tare Ko. Let me see. That's I ain't gonna read all of them. Let's get up to here. Tare, which glances at the Hebrew, as they not only built with such materials, but used it as a word of number expressive to two. In like manner, Ishki 5 signifies a mother, which seems to shew that their numeral words were formerly significant, and they were all of one stock of people. Showing you that was on page 41, showing you that they all come from one stock of people. Okay, we're going to right here. The Cherokee called 20. Let me see. Go here. Yeah, here we go. This is Tath Lippe and sufficient clearness by the numeral method of Chickasaw, for they call 100 Pukule Tathlepa and 1,000 Pukile Telepa Ishto, the last of which is a strong double superlative, according to the usage of the Hebrews, by a repetition of the principal word, or by affixing the name of God to the end of it, to heighten the number. Ishtu is one of their names of God, which is the same as Ishi. Okay. I'm going to another book now. Let me see. Let me go into another book. Okay. Yeah. Damn, what book is that? Give me a second. So I got another one showing that the Mohegan language is the father of their languages. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. man. All
Everybody
right.
like and subscribe.
Yep. My bad, cuz. Oh, boom, 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 boom.
Do your
I
thing.
work.
Do your thing. You good.
Yep. And I go some page doing this. That on page 30 they call on Yah. They call him Yahweh or Yehawa or Yohawa, uh, Yohahan. Let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna go because I can't find it right there. So I'm gonna go to another book. You know, going to something out of there. Oh, okay. Okay, so here's some more of the customs right here. It was said. This is page. I'm going to another book now. The 10 Tribes of Israel, or the True History of the North American Indians, showing that they are the descendants of the 10 tribes. Of these 10 tribes, by Timothy R. Jenkins.
Okay. Now,
I'm going.
is anybody we're talking about? Or you just haven't brought up the Moors yet. You're not
No,
there
because
yet.
no, because this we already identified. Remember last show that the Native Americans were Moors, but he was saying that some of them weren't, and they weren't Israelites. So I was touching to show that they were all of one stock, so that those people were of the Moorish Israelite stock.
Okay, this is just the origin of the natives. Okay, gotcha.
Because remember he was saying that we agreed that most of them, but he was saying some of them, like people down in Mexico and some of these places, weren't. So, I said that they were. I had things showing that they all come from one origin. So that's why I was touching from all the places from South America all the way to New York and all that, Florida, everywhere, to show that they come from one origin and show that they themselves say that they came from one origin. All of them. You know what I mean? It's showing that their
Gotcha.
language and it showed that their language is all the same from one mother tongue.
Right, right.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna read this again too, just the preface, because this is something I don't know, because we read this on the other show on the a while back when we first came, but I never read this
Right.
on here. So I'm gonna read the
Okay.
preface. Let this sink in. You know what I mean? Timothy
Okay.
R.J. This is many years ago. The attention of the compiler of the following pages was first called to the subject by hearing a lecture delivered by a highly educated Cherokee Indian on the manners and customs of the various Indian tribes of North America. During the course of his remarks, he stated that when he came to study the Hebrew language, he was astonished to find so much of his own language that was pure Hebrew. And after enumerating the various words of his own language that were Hebrew, he found them to exceed 50. And he said, we were taught this by our ancestors, and they received it from their Hebrew ancestors, the 10 tribes. And furthermore, he stated that he was firmly convinced that the Indian tribes of North America were descendants of the 10 tribes of Israel, as he was of any other fact. Now that's strong. He says of any other fact. That means he's assured of it as strong as he knows who he is, who his mom and daddy was. If any other fact on life, he's assured that they're the descendants of the 10 tribes, because he had it passed down from the ancestors. Passed down from the ancestors. And
Right,
white man definitely didn't teach us Hebrew. He took our language from us, so he didn't teach them people Hebrew.
Right.
Okay, so let's go into. I'm gonna go to page 5. Another. Okay, so I'm just gonna read various things. No particular order in this. If you have a question or anything, just ask. But it's just all relevant information, right?
Okay. Gotcha.
The second argument is that the Tartars are descendants of the 10 tribes, but you'll find that the Tartars are of the Moors. If you go into the ancient and modern Britons, we'll show that at some other point in time, unless you want me to show it right now. But you go into ancient modern Britons, you find that the Tartars are Israelites as well. They're Moors. So Mr. Deshov, the Russian ambassador, told the writer 36 years ago that he knew that the Tartars were Hebrew. He said, my family came from Tartary to European Russia 150 years ago. Our chiefs were called Nais. And when I came to America and saw Indians, I asked how Tartars came here. For said he, the Tartars in all their leading features are Hebrews. The names of the rivers, mountains, and towns in Tartary being distinguished Hebrew bears testimony to Mr. Deshaw's testimony. Third, the names of the mountains, rivers, and tribes of our Indians are also distinguished Hebrew. Mount Elias is 17,900 feet high at the north end of the Rocky Mountains, and in north latitude 60 degrees. That mountain must have been named in remembrance of Elijah upon Mount Carmel in the west of Palestine, a little south of where the Kishon falls into the Mediterranean. Charlevoix, the French Jesuit who traveled from Canada to Louisiana about 20 years ago, did not go so far north, neither did Carver. If they had both gone so far, they would not probably have called a mountain by his name. But nothing could be more natural than that these exiled Hebrews should have called it a name which they almost venerated in the time of Christ. When we come further south, the names of the rivers are more clearly Hebrew. Great Garden is derived from a god and jinn, garden. Ohio is Jehovah pronounced without the points. So that's Ohio is basically Ahia. Ohio is pronounced without the points. Kakakua, whatever that is the same name. The old name was Ohiopo, which means Little Ohio or Little Ahia, meaning Christ. I bet. The Potawatomi Indians called the Mississippi Mishapawpaw, which is plainly derived from Mesha, Moses, and Pawpaw, father, which means Father Moses. And we call it the Father of Waters. Kanawha is Gana Abba, father. The patience of the reader will be exhausted should the writer attempt to identify the Hebrew names with the 1/10 of the American rivers. Just 1/10 of the American rivers, you'll be exhausted trying to identify all these Hebrew names and blow your mind. I'll be like, damn, this is crazy. The names of the tribes and towns are as clearly of Hebrew origin. The Mandans from Man and Dan and means Dan. Other names of tribes are to the same effect. Fourth, from the literature of the Indian tribes, if one may be called a name, the writer has seen a paradigm of the Mohegan verb. See Budenot's Star in the West, which gives a vocabulary of some of the words. And in that same book, it tells you that the Mohegan language is the mother tongue of all the other languages that the Native Americans speak. And it's clearly, we're going to go into it and show you that their language is Hebrew.
Okay.
The Reverend Smith, a Presbyterian minister among the Indians who has finished a translation of the New Testament in the Mohegan language, told the writer that he had for years labored to make a paradigm of the Mohegan verb. At length, it struck me that it was cast in the Hebrew mold. And I made this one, which I will show you. It was printed on a large sheet, and any Hebrew scholar would at once recognize the suffixes and affixes of the Hebrew Bible. At the time the writer heard this, Mr. Smith was in Albany, superintending the publication of the Mohegan Testament. Several years before that, the writer of this article had seen a grammar of the Chilean language, and the verb was cast in that Hebrew mold. No Hebrew scholar could doubt this. So he's all the way down to Chile now. It may be said that Chile is South America. Very true. But let it be remembered on our side that immigrants had been in America 500 years before Christ. And of course the Mexicans are descendants of the Hebrews, if it be true that the Chileans are. Judge Breckenbridge, who was the secretary of the litigation to Mexico, told the writer that the language of the Mexicans was a very jingling language, a great many consonants and few vowels, and that it resembles the language of the Tartars, which we know the Tartars are Hebrews.
Right.
Their usages indicate the same thing. First, they have a long festival in spring, the time of the year as the Jews keep their Passover. Second, many of the Indians, especially those of Western Pennsylvania, 7 years ago, did not eat of the sinew that shrank. Third, they make a tent, enter into that tent to purify themselves. Six, one tribe has a box in which is a copy parchment of which they keep the most sacred. This writer had from Mr. Shanahan, a very respectable gentleman, who said that after great persuasion, they shewed it to him. It was written in large letters with a blue ink. Mr. Shannon was not a Hebrew scholar and did not know what language it was. 7. The inscriptions, the writer will speak in the first persons as is customary now. And going down Lake Champlain in December 1832, I was detained by accident, which happened at the steamboat at Lake Ticonderoga, whatever that is. There I discovered near a small village Hebrew letters on the rocks. At first I thought they were the marks of feet upon rocks, which Mr. Morse speaks of in his geography. But on the reflection I saw that some were Hebrew sheens. They were large letters from 4 to 5 inches long and beautifully carved. Okay, let's see what else we got here.
What's the name of that book again?
This one is the
Excuse me.
10 tribes of Israel, or the
Uh-huh.
true history of the North American Indians, showing that they are the descendants of these 10 tribes.
Gotcha.
Okay.
People, if you don't believe what he say, you got something to say, you can leave a message. Do your research though. A lot of people got stuff to say and don't do no kind of research.
Yeah,
But
that's what
bring
I
out
do.
that truth.
Okay, but damn, I'm trying to find this one. Where's that? I got it right here. Let me go to my phone so I can get to it quicker, because that's that new book. Remember, I told you I can get all the highlights. So let me go to my
Right.
phone real quick so I can just do a word search and pull this up real fast. Bam.
Do your thing. Do your
Technology is
thing.
good for something. Okay. Bam. Okay. Here we go. Bam. Page 70. Here goes another one. It is said among their principal or beloved men that they have handed down from their ancestors, that the book which the white people have was once theirs, that while they had it they prospered exceedingly, but that the white people bought it of them and learned many things from it, while the Indians lost their credit, offended the Great Spirit, and suffered exceedingly from the neighboring nations. The Great Spirit took pity on them and directed them to this country, that on their way they came to a great river which they could not pass, when God dried up the waters and they passed over dry shod. They also stated that their forefathers were possessed of an extraordinary divine spirit by which they foretold future events and controlled the common course of nature. This they transmitted to their offspring on condition of their obeying the sacred laws, that they did by these means bring down showers of plenty on the dear people, but that this power for long time past had entirely ceased. So that's linking up with a lot of Bible stuff right there. So let's go back. Okay, I'm gonna go into something on too. Okay, so bam. Let's go here. So it's showing you too right there that the white men didn't give us the Bible. It tells you that right here. It says before the book was ours, before the white man had it. It said the book that the white man had was once our book. You heard that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me see. Boom, boom. Okay, this is linking up directly with Second Esdras right here. Saying how they got here. That they came from neighbors. The Great Spirit took pity on them and directed them to this country. And on their way, they came to a great river which they would not pass when God dried up the waters and they passed over dry shod. So let's go to Second Esdras and read that and see how that matches up with that. I'm gonna go to Second Esdras. When history meets scripture, that's what we call that. When history meets scripture. Second Esdras. Second Esdras 13 and 39. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king. And Salmanassar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land. That's when they took them to Assyria from Israel. Well, they took this counsel amongst themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then shewed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. So that's telling you exactly how this and how they got here. For through that country was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and that same region is called Arsareth. And they dwelt there until the latter times, and now they shall begin to come. So what does that mean? They should begin to come. In the latter times, last days, that's when they're going to begin to wake up here in this fourth part of the world that the Bible speaks of that's hidden. Because, you know, we know three parts when you go into the Bible. Ham, Shem, and Japheth were given the three parts of the earth that were known. But we go to the book of Revelations, it tells you that there's a fourth part of the earth that he gave power to the beast to be over there going and do some things in that fourth part of the earth. So where's that fourth part of the earth? Only place it could be is America, because Ham, Shem, and Japheth already occupied Africa, Asia, and Europe.
Okay, well, you're saying where a man was not before. You don't think during like, how do you feel about Pangaea?
Yes,
how do you
yes.
feel about, because I would think that there's always been people here on this side.
Right. But Pangaea, I believe it happened before the flood actually happened. You feel me?
Before the flood, okay.
That's why you see the sunken cities and stuff over here. Pyramid
Right.
Lake and all the sunken cities in Jamaica. Jamaica was once called Jamaica. So that's telling you, Jamaica is just Jamaica. It's right before us.
Right.
But it's all kinds of sunken cities. And which book speaks of that? The sunken cities and stuff. The Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon. Okay, so that's interesting too, because remember we said the book that we once had, that the white man has, was once ours. The Book of Mormon touches on that.
Okay.
About them coming here, taking this book. So I'm just going to touch on a bit of that. And if you people do their research, they get at me or whatever, I can show them information pointing to the history of the Book of Mormon being in Africa. There's this African guy, he's wrote books. He's from Ethiopia and Eritrea. And he's going into the Ethiopian history and the history of these people in Egypt, showing that they carry the tribal names, have the oral history and all this stuff, and speaks about the wars that is spoken of in that book and everything. And if you read the book, it's taking place in Africa, and then it takes place here in America. When you read the book, everybody just sees that Mormon, but the name itself tells you Mormon, the Mormon. You know what I mean? But
Right.
let me get that. Let me get that one thing out of there just to relate to them saying that book was once theirs.
Everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, bringing out this free information, bringing it out to you. You know, support the Big Twizz Show, support Brother Malcum. Malcum, what's your email so they can get a hold of you? Anywhere they can get a hold of you at?
Malcum Lawrence, MALCUM LAWRENCE, the number 5 at gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook.
Right on. Just under your name on Facebook?
Yep.
Okay, Malcum Lawrence. There you go. There you go. There you go. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. This is his home. So, you know, like and subscribe.
Damn, I ain't got the kids took the damn app out of my phone. All right, let me touch on something else. I'll go on to something else.
Okay, that's fine.
It's gonna take too much time. It's almost 5 o'clock because I gotta go to work and stuff tonight, and I gotta cook and stuff.
Yeah, don't we both? Ooh. Yeah, man.
We're gonna definitely continue this. You know what I mean? So I just really wanted to go into showing that there were one people of one origin. And I'll just point out, do some little bonus stuff right here, and we can come back and do it. Point to the Hawaiians. This book is called The Hawaiian Antiquities.
Okay.
Hawaii. And it's going to go into.
Okay.
And it's going to go into their origins, their Jewish origins. Then, if you do the research, we'll share a video with them next time where Kweto Muta, the recently deceased Zulu tribe priest, and one of the leaders of the Zulu tribe was just passing. He's like 98 years old. He has a video and he shows the origin of the Pacific Islands and all that stuff over there, and like all that. And he tells you the story of a man named Maui from the Zulu tribe who said he was going to leave, and he left and went there and founded those islands. And what corroborates the story, he has these prophecy big stones, whatever, with the ancient writings on those stuff. And then one of the people who had never met him from the Pacific Islands was able to read those stones. And it
Okay.
spoke of him leaving, going to establish that place, and us going into captivity by ships, and us returning back as a people, and all that, and his prophecy stories.
Okay.
So now here's a picture of they drew of one of the chiefs or whatever people of Hawaii. You could obviously, you can look at Samoans and obviously see they have Negroid in them.
Well, I've seen pictures of Tongans and Samoans back before they start getting a lot of that mixture in them, and they were black people with afros. Same complexion as you and I. You know,
Zulu tribe members.
yeah, they were black people, and the ancient pictures that I've seen, they wasn't even that big of a people. It seemed
Some of
like
them
that.
were. Some of them were.
Some of them were, but it seemed like more of them was more
Know
regular
when that came
sized
in?
people.
Know when that came in?
Nah,
Because
let us know.
you read this book here. Americans, Africans, and Native Americans, the language of race and the evolution of red and black peoples. It tells you that the Pacific Islanders are a mix of um, oceanic Negroes, which was the Zulu tribe. We find out from the leader of the Zulu tribe, and the Native American Indian. So that's why they're so big like that. Across those two make monsters.
Hold on, say that again. You said the reason why. Say that again.
They're so big is because they're a mix of us Negroes and the Native American. The two, like basically alpha beings on the planet. Look who's the best athletes on the planet. Blacks and Native Americans or Latinos, whatever. We dominate every sport from football, baseball, basketball, soccer, tennis, MMA, UFC, everything. So
Right.
if you mix those two together, plus when you go into the restrictions that were removed, it tells you about Judah, the Negro. It says Judah is the giant warrior athlete, and he's fast as a hind and able to chase a roe and strip it down. So that gives clue to who you're to the giant warrior athlete. All you have to do is look at TV and see who the giant warrior athlete is. That's the nigga. So that's who Judah is.
Man, I was watching the show about Africa, man. I knew that's where I knew you. You was chasing that lion down. I knew it.
Yep. Yep.
I
Barefoot.
knew it. Gonna go.
Barefoot too.
That's funny.
He
Barefooted.
asking them up.
Hey, what Zulu say? He said, "My tribe don't need sandals to put out that fire with his foot. That was you."
he said we told him we eat fire.
Okay.
Okay.
I
It should
heard
also
that.
be, I'm going to page 412 of this book.
Okay,
And
go ahead.
we're gonna after this we're gonna close down and we're gonna come back next week and continue because I gotta go get dinner ready and get my ass ready. And plus I gotta do the other show with Homeboy for like you know what I mean a
Right.
minute. So I gotta get my ass some sleep.
Yeah,
Okay.
no doubt, no doubt.
It should also be noted that several groups along the Pacific coast manufactured seaworthy craft and were capable of reaching Polynesia by means of favorable currents. It is beyond the scope of this study to discuss such voyages, but one must note that many Pacific Islanders peoples may very well be of American ancestry mixed with varying proportions of oceanic Negro Africans and the Malayo-Indonesian stocks. And we got some more books. We'll go into the Black Vikings and all that stuff, and it'll explain a lot of this stuff. And you go into the ancient and modern Britons, it speaks of the piratical Moorish families and describes who they are.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah,
so yeah, it was great seeing you people again, and we're gonna try to keep this popping. We definitely are going, to Lord willing, but the Lord's in control of this. He put us together to do this for a reason. It's gonna happen.
oh
So
yeah. This is man. It could have been a half an hour. You're gonna keep on coming back. This is your platform too, big cousin.
word.
So thank you for the information, and to all my people out there, please like and subscribe. Thank Brother Malcolm. If you guys have anything you want to say, or any kind of debate you want to have, we're up for it. Everybody got to be respectful, though. This is a respectful platform. We're trying to bring out information. This is not the nigga section of YouTube, okay? We're gonna leave that over there and get on some positive building over here. With that said, Brother Malcolm, he will be coming back. Thank you, Brother Malcolm. This is the Big Twizz Show. Please like and subscribe. All right?
Shalom, cousin.
We out. Shalom, shalom.
The Big Twizz Show.